Hello, welcome to the Rocky Sports Talk Sheet. Today's episode, I'm a little bit shocked. I was looking around the house because we still have a lot to we still have a little bit to unpack. But I was gonna put on today's show on the wall, the sports wall behind me, my Bobby Knight framed picture with Bobby Knight up for Indiana Hoosier fans. Because last night, Gonzaga was going for a perfect season. First perfect season since my Indiana Hoosiers and Bobby Knight did it last in 1976. Well, that didn't happen. That did not happen last night. But I also have to say, I was wrong. I was wrong, y'all. I was dead wrong. I had this as a good, nail-biting game, back and forth game, and it wasn't. It was not. Not at all. It didn't live up to my expectations, to be honest, everybody. It truly didn't. I really thought this could be a slugfest. Should have been a slugfest to me, and it just wasn't. I think that one of the main reasons why it wasn't is if you go back to the Final Four and one of the greatest college basketball games, and one of the greatest finishes of all time in college sports and college basketball, Gonzaga, to me, looked mentally drained and physically drained, and they put all they had to beat UCLA in that overtime, shocker in overtime, just a sensational game. The game-winning shot, the block late, very late to tie up the game. They had that amazing block, and then he gets the rebound, and then puts it between bounce pass between three defenders, and scores the bucket. So he gets the block, the rebound, the assist, and then it went to overtime, and he hit that 33-foot game winner for three to break the tie and to win it 93-90 against UCLA. And I think it took everything away from Gonzaga for this championship game. Now, I think they would have been in better shape if they didn't have to play 2 days later. I think after a game like they had in the Final Four, that was one of the things that I was worried about in the back of my mind. Because a lot of teams, after they have one of the greatest games, the next game, more than not half of the time, they're still living in such of the moment of what happened previously that they're not as focused as they normally are, and those teams usually slip up in the next outing. But I thought Gonzaga, I thought that wasn't going to happen to Gonzaga, and I truly believe last night in the championship game, it happened to Gonzaga. I'm sorry it happened to them. That's just my take. That's what it feels like it happened to them. Man, this should have been a classic. It didn't end up being a classic. And truly, I hate that. Like, I truly, truly do hate that. With that being said, both schools had an amazing year. Gonzaga had their best year. Baylor had their best year. So shout out to both of the schools, both of the coaches, both of the players on both teams to an incredible season. But the story here is not Gonzaga. the story here is two things. One, Indiana is still the last undefeated team in 1976 going undefeated. That's out of the way. That's out of the bag. It's done and over with. That's that. You know, I gotta talk about the head coach for Baylor right now. What he has done and built down there in Baylor is nothing short of amazing and magnificent, everybody. In case you all don't understand or don't remember, because it has been a while back. It's been almost 20 years ago. Been about 17 years ago, 18 years ago. But this Baylor program, this men's basketball Baylor program, was beyond dead in the water. They were hit so hard with sanctions, so hard with tragedy, that they were doing a complete U-Haul and complete rebuild of their basketball program. And they had to do everything. They had to clean up their image because they had an awful image in 2003. Whenever former basketball player killed and murdered his own teammate on the men's basketball team, Carlton Dotson killed his teammate Patrick Dennehy. He pleaded guilty, and he was sentenced to 35 years in prison for the murder on Baylor campus. Now, what followed after that, for those who don't remember and don't recall, they had a coach at that time in 2003 was Dave Bliss. Due to the murder, an investigation and an inquiry was done on Baylor University, also on the head coach, Dave Bliss. There was so much negative reports that came out, just left and right, was just gut punch after gut punch. And it was a complete and utter dismantling scandal at Baylor University in 2003. And with the men's college basketball team there. I know that it was drugs. I know that was like one of the big ones. Also, there was improper payment, other sanctions. It just totally dismantled the team. NCAA hit them with so many sanctions, gut punched them, scholarships, everything. They didn't have another winning season till 2008, 5 years after the scandal broke. So their first winning season in college basketball was 5 years later in 2008. It was a huge story in 03. It was big. It really took them out. Now Dave Bliss was fired, and then they brought in head coach Scott Drew, and from the ashes, because they were the ashes. After this all, they burned down. Men's college basketball at Baylor was burnt down. Scott Drew, it was not a good job at all. He saw a chance. He came in and he rebuilt this team. He built the prestige at Baylor University and brought them from the brink of extinction, in my opinion, for people even wanting to come there and play there, any good players. And they've actually been a good, solid team for years now. Last year, they were really great. They could have won it possibly last year. Years before that, in less than 10 years, built a good team. Like I said, they had a winning season in 08. he built a winning team. And now, basically 13 years after the first winning first winning season there at Baylor, and after all the sanctions were done, and after all the penalties were done and served, in 13 years after all that's said and done, he builds and builds and builds, and he wins the national championship this year in 2021. What Scott Drew has done is beyond amazing for Baylor University. And that university should greatly, enormously hold Scott Drew high, in very extremely high regards at that university, around that campus, on that campus. Y'all might want to consider even putting a statue up sometime soon. Because, in my opinion, if it was not for Scott Drew, Baylor basketball would not be at all where it is today. It just would not. He was definitely the right man for the job. He has them competing year in and year out. And he is completely rebuilt from scratch that entire men's basketball atmosphere, men's basketball, the discipline, the integrity, everything that he brings and brought to that university is where they're at now. And they owe that wholeheartedly to Scott Drew, the head coach of the Baylor Bears. And last night, he put on a coaching clinic. They never trailed, folks. Gonzaga never led in the national championship game. Yes, I'm talking about the undefeated Gonzaga going for an undefeated season. Never even led in the game one time. They lost. Gonzaga lost 70-86 to Baylor. 16 points. Boy, I was wrong by 20 points. 20 points swung the other way. I had Gonzaga winning a close, tough battle by 4. But like I said, I think what happened with them in the Final Four and that amazing, tough, extremely, that tough game against UCLA in the Final Four, I think it really drained Gonzaga, and they did not at all bring their A game. They just weren't there. They weren't there, and they were still riding high from the Final Four. That does not excuse what Baylor did, because they brought it, and they never let go. They stayed on the gas pedal, and they straight full throttled forward. Scott Drew, today, my shout out of the day is to you. From what Baylor went from in 2003 to teammates, a teammate murdering a teammate, and then the inquiry, and then all the sanctions that came, and all the huge, horrible scandal that happened with that men's basketball program at Baylor in 2003, to you coming in there, changing the atmosphere, changing everything about that team, changing everything about how they were going to be as a team. You retooled, revamped, and re-energized Baylor basketball. And you have one of the best and greatest sports restructures of a team in history. It could be the best restructure and rebuilt ever done in any sport history. But it's definitely up there. It's definitely up there, if it isn't the greatest. Scott Drew, you are person of the day. And hats off to you, man. Just hats off to you. Just what you built there at Baylor is usually unprecedented. it's hard for a coach to usually come in there after a big scandal and even last a little while. Hell, Indiana, my Hoosiers. Like I said in the previous video, don't be shocked, Houston, whenever you made it to the Final Four, if that banner does not get stripped away. Because your head coach of that Houston basketball team, yeah, Sampson, well, he got Oklahoma sanctioned years ago. Then got fired. Then came to Indiana University, my Hoosiers. Broke the rules there. Nailed us with a bunch of sanctions. And we lost about 4 years of hard years. We did bring in Tom Crean and he did rebuild it. We even was a 1 seed in the tournament with him, with Zeller and them. We got knocked out by Syracuse that year in the Sweet 16. And he still only lasted. He didn't last as long, nowhere near as long as Scott Drew. I mean, he was just fired several years ago. So I'm just saying, after teams get hit so hard and scholarships taken away and everything else, especially at basketball school, it's hard to keep your job once you're coming in there as the coach to fix it and rebuild it. So hats off to Scott Drew. You deserve everything you get from Baylor. If you get a big ass contract extension with a big ass amount, well, guess what, Baylor? Guess what, sports fans? He damn well deserves it. For what he had to start out with to where he brought him now to champs, damn straight the man deserves it. Him and his family. They all deserve it. This is an amazing story. It's a sad but amazing story, Go from teammates being murdered by your own teammate. And then all these drugs come out, improper payments, and all these scandals come out. Cripples your basketball team and your organization for years to come. And then you bring in a coach that just not only brings you back to winning, but turns you into a powerhouse and a premier basketball school to national champions. You do not see that happening. And basically, like I said, after those sanctions, those first 5 years don't count. Because those were the years where he really had no chance to build a team. And every sports fan that knows how the NCAA can really hit you with hard sanctions would understand that. Any true college basketball sports fan and sports fans in general that know their stuff, he had no chance in hell those first 4 or 5 seasons. No freaking chance. But after that, look what the hell he's done there at Baylor. Look what the hell he has built. That man in less than 14 years, because I'm going to go from 08 to now. Like I said, those first years after the 03 sank, I am not putting none of that against him. He had no chance. So from 08, where he really had a chance, to now in 2021, 13 years, national champs. You better sign him to a decade-plus extension. That's all I got to say, Baylor. You better make him one of the highest-paid coaches. He deserves it. And you owe it to him. Because athletic director there at Baylor, from where you was in 2003 to where you're currently at in 2021, no one, and I mean no one, deserves more credit than that head coach and Scott Drew. No one. No one. So whatever kind of money you're thinking he might be worth, add a little bit. Add a little bit. Add a little bit. Give him a big extension. Make him one of the highest paid coaches because he deserves it. And truly, because that university obviously needs his leadership around that college campus. I mean, you all have had scandals before, you know, and you need somebody like that, a leader like that on your campus. And whenever you got issues on your campus, a leader like that head coach, is priceless. Straight up priceless. I better hear. I hope I hear it because, like I said, he definitely strongly deserves it. And for all you sports fans that think this story is crazy, go look it up. I'm not playing. This is all legit. This is all legit. That player that murdered his teammate, he's still in prison. He's serving a 35-year sentence for murder. Carlton Dotson. Seriously. Go look him up. It was such a tragedy that led to such a scandal. He deserves to be the top 5, top 3 highest paid coaches, in my opinion. Because that university can't let him walk to another university and change the philosophy of another university. You can't let him go. You could not let him go. Don't think other colleges are have him on their radar, because I guarantee you they do. I guarantee you they do. Don't be shocked if even the NBA has him on a little bit of a radar. Don't be shocked. And you know what? Truly, the same thing goes with Gonzaga's coach. You don't think the NBA especially ain't got him on their radar? Well, both of these, Gonzaga and both of the head coaches, man, kudos to both of them, honestly. Not just Scott Drew. Just amazing. Just amazing what he did. Baylor, kudos, man. Kudos. I am glad to see whenever something tragic happens like that, I'm glad to see out of tragedy some good come out of it. I've always been a fan of that. I've always been a fan of when tragedy strikes, you hear good news. And I love hearing that. I love it. I love the comeback story. I think a lot of people in the world love a comeback story. You can't go wrong with the comeback story. There ain't a better story right now than Baylor basketball. And the comeback from ashes, complete ashes. So, just kudos. Get ready to give y'all some scores. In the NBA last night, the Toronto Raptors beat the Wizards 103-101. Another I told you all, the Knicks, man, watch out for the Knicks. Another classic and very close game between the Nets and the Knicks. 114-112. The Nets edge out the Knicks. Just a classic. Dallas beats Utah Jazz 111-103. Minnesota Timberwolves beat the Sacramento Kings 116-106. Detroit Pistons defeat the OKC Oklahoma City Thunder 132-108. The Cavs beat the Spurs 125-101. And the Phoenix Suns defeat the Houston Rockets 133-130. just, and I wasn't even paying attention to the NBA. I was paying attention to that basketball, the championship game last night. So I'm good to. Wow. So the tournament's done. On the women's side, we got the Stanford Cardinals as the women's champion, and again we got Baylor, the Baylor Bears champions on the men's side. Tournament is complete. We can now move on to the NFL because that's the big sporting event that's next, and that's the NFL draft at the end of the month. You know, and don't get me wrong. I mean, it's considered sports. It's considered entertainment. You know, we also got this weekend is 2-day event, Saturday and Sunday, of WrestleMania in wrestling. So I mean, there are a lot of wrestling fans out there too. So don't get me wrong. Can't forget about the WrestleMania. That's their biggest event. That's their Super Bowl. Pretty much is what I'm saying. So we do have that. We got that going. Now, in other news, like I said, I would update y'all whenever I hear the news. Yeah. Again, we're talking about Deshaun Watson here, quarterback currently of the Houston Texans. I think currently is the word you have to use because more than likely he's going to be out at some point in time, either being released or traded, or just straight up out of the league. Those are like the three options for him. Yeah, he's got yet another lawsuit filed against him. The number of claims against Deshaun Watson has now moved up to 22. I'll give you a little bit of details with this newest entrant. Another lawsuit has been filed against Deshaun Watson. This one alleging the Houston Texans quarterback assaulted a licensed. I work with me on this word because this one is a hard word to pronounce for me. Aesthetician, AESTHETICIAN. Aesthetician. It's hard for me to pronounce it. Now, what isn't funny at all is this one claims by touching her with his penis and exposing himself. Man, this plaintiff alleges Watson grabbed her butt during a massage while his, was erect and completely exposed. The lawsuit alleges Watson told the massage therapist she had to sign a non-disclosure agreement before he would pay her for the massage. The lawsuit says based on publicity available information in a short time frame, Watson used more than 50 different women for massages and alleges that Watson selected all of these women via social media, mostly through Instagram and through Snapchat. However, some of the lawsuits filed by Busby references Watson booking a massage through a spa or through another referral. Okay, folks. I know a lot of people have been arguing with me and saying this is total BS. But the more and more we see, the more and more we hear, you get to build you begin to build a story here, folks. When you have free stuff available within NFL franchises, free therapy like massages and They want their athletes to they have their own. They want them to get worked out and to get stretched and everything so they don't get hurt because they pay big money for these star players and for their players, period. So they look out for that. And they do give them by far some of the best. Whenever you go outside of that and you're going on Snapchat and Instagram and you're using the internet to find 50 different women to massage you, and then you're having them sign in some kind of non-disclosure agreement. For those that don't understand what that is, there's a lot that you can do with a paper like that. It builds a narrative and it builds a story that Deshaun Watson is building himself. Let's be frank here. He has done that. Now he has gone out and went through he's used these services to find these women. That has already been proven. It's been backed up. That part has been backed up. Then you get these agreements. You don't think that these women have copies of these? You don't think that some of these women don't have a copy of this thing that they signed with him? This is looking heinously bad for Deshaun Watson, folks. You don't understand. Even after, remember the Kobe scandal? People were joking and saying, well, you should have had him sign this paper before you did it. That's the paper they're talking about. He was made fun of for years. And there was even, back in the day, way back in the day, there was rumors that Wilt Chamberlain he's well known to be a ladies' man, but that people were saying, better make sure they sign papers and stuff. There was all these kind of funny jokes and ha ha ha. But that is what some people have done. And this is just, man, this is not good. Not good at all for Deshaun Watson. I'm just saying, by his own actions, he's making himself look guilty of this. That is what I'm trying to get across. He's making himself look guilty. That is not good at all. It's hard to talk about. And it's crazy that you would think that some of this stuff has been done. I don't know why you have to have massage therapists sign a non-disclosure agreement. There's no reason for this. None. You have a set price and that's it, and you go on about your day. That's how these massages work. I mean, hello, people. Knock. Use your freaking heads and your brains, people. I know you all have had massages and stuff like that. You know how it works. You have a set price, and that's it. You get the massage. You get your muscles worked out. You get your kinks out. You get your knots out. That's what they're there for. That's what they get paid for. Then you pay them, and then you go on about your day. That's it. That's it, folks. That is completely it. You don't go in there and have your therapist. Has any of you all gone in there as a client? You go into a spa, you bring in a non-disclosure agreement, and make them sign a bunch of paperwork. Do y'all do that? Tell me when you all hear me. When do y'all do that? Because I'm going to call bullshit. Straight up, I'm going to call you bullshit. This speaks eerie. This speaks weird. This speaks, hello, this almost screams. He's almost screaming by some of the shit he's done and the way he did it to even get the massages to even happen. I'm not even talking about none of the sexual stuff, but just to start the massage. Reads and says, odd, strange, eerie. And these women probably didn't think of nothing of it. They probably thought, well, this is one thing. They probably thought, well, he is a professional athlete, so maybe he wants to cover his, in case anything happens or whatever. He wants some kind of little bit of insurance, whatever. Probably what they were thinking before they started. Then whenever they started, then they realized. Because here's the thing about papers, and I'm guilty of this, folks, almost every time. Whenever you do a job and you got all these papers that you have to read before you sign, a lot of the all these different things, cars, man, they give you all these different pages with all these different words. Say read it before you sign it. You know damn well 99% of you all do not read every single word on these pages before you sign. And I guarantee you, all these women did not read all the words before they signed. And if you don't think that I have any merit there, well, whatever. What the hell ever. I'm guilty of it myself. I just sign date, boom, go on about my day. Let's get this done. Yeah, I'm an impatient person. There's a lot of us out there. This is disturbing, and like I said, the thing that worries me the most about this and for Deshaun Watson is he's making himself look guilty. Even if he's not, he is definitely painting a bad picture on himself. I mean, don't you think in court, the prosecuting attorney is going to be attacking? Why ain't you using your own team's resources? They have some of the best, if not the best, out there. You can use it for free. Why are you going and using the internet and social media sites to learn to bring these women into doing them? You don't know them. So why are you taking the chance? They're going to hit him so hard. Why are you bringing out a non-disclosure agreement just to get a massage? They are going to hound him. And rightfully so. I mean, I just don't get some of the actions he's done. I'm not even saying that he did it. But even before even getting on that topic, it just screams weird, strange behavior. I don't know how he's escaping this. I truly don't, people. I don't know how he's escaping this clean at all. I don't know. Well, I'm telling you right now, in perception of him is damaged. And there are going to be people that are going to be listening to this and questioning all the same things I question. And they're going to be thinking, not in the back of their head, but in the front of their head, damn, this fool did this. Think of how many people are going to be thinking that way. Just because before all you get to the actual claims, they're going to be so drawn, like, what? What are you doing? Why are you even doing all these steps? I'm just saying. This just looked bad. Again, I will keep y'all updated more on this topic whenever news comes out. Again, I want to thank all the people that tune in and watch these episodes, and also for being a part of the Rocky Sports Talk Sheet. Thank you all for helping me grow in views. The subscribers haven't grown yet, but I'm taking it one day at a time. And hopefully my viewers, I just ask you all to do the same with me. Like I said, the more and longer I do this, the more and longer I'm going to get better and better and better. So please stick around to the Rocky Sports Talk Sheet. This is going to be a different kind of YouTube style podcast for sports talk out there. I try to keep different topics out there. I try to keep up to date on each day of sports. I try to bring y'all the big sporting news to breaking news. I try to give y'all the works. So please stick around. Please subscribe, please. Hit the notification bell. There are a lot of videos. Thank you all very much. You can also find me on Twitter. Also at just type in Rocky Sports Talk Sheet. You can follow me there on Twitter. And you can also find me on Facebook to also view these videos and stuff. Also, you can type in Rocky Sports Talk Sheet. Thank you all for tuning in yet again to another episode. Peace out, everybody.